in wealth, and they grew in businesses. And all of them today go to any small town, even the big towns, but go to any small town and go and ask, Anjuman Tajiran hai koi? And the answer will be yes. They are the most powerful group in the city, in the town. Their job is to promote their claims and guard their gains. This is what they do. But they do not contest elections. And I will discuss that very briefly later on. Now, there are positive aspects to this and negative aspects. The negative aspect is that with the change in values, there was a change of aspirations, and the small towns could not fulfill the aspirations of its people, especially of its educated people. So there was a big migration, still is, from the small towns to the bigger towns. As a result of which, the small towns have lost their educated elite. And as such, they have lost their political power as well, although the economic power is there. If I take Chinyot, for instance, the Chinyotis are the richest people in Pakistan. They own all the big textile mills, but all their textile mills are not in Chinyot, they are outside of Chinyot. They are in Karachi, they are in Faisalabad. I asked Akbar Sheikh, the leader of the Sheikh community, who are the traders, converts from Hinduism, from Lohana Hinduism to Islam. I asked him, why don't you put your mills here? And he said, we will never get any land to put up a mill here, because the lands are owned by the Sayyids and the Qazis. And for us, for them, we are the biggest threat. And the Sayyids and Qazis are the political power, because they contest the elections. The Sheikhs do not contest the elections. They don't have a tradition of it. So I point this out to you as the contradiction that there is in this change. Now, constantly there is talk of land reform in Pakistan. If you look at the land ownership pattern according to the agricultural census, then 54% of the households in the rural areas don't own land. And 99% farms are between 0.5 and under 0.5 hectares and 20 hectares. These farms occupy 79% of farmland, and all of them are heavily in debt. 82% of all labor and sharecroppers work on these farms. This is the agricultural census of Pakistan. If this is true, then what sort of land reform are we talking about? It's a big question mark. My own experience is that it is not entirely true. This is the difference between reality on the ground and what is known as the khata. Because through clan and family relationships, the feudal power remains intact, in spite of the fact that its grip has become extremely weak because of a shift from sharecropping to the contracting system. Why that has taken place is because of the reasons that I gave you before: the end of the barter and the emergence of cash as a means of exchange. Now, these are realities we are not dealing with. Primarily, what Pakistan needs is a land settlement. Without that, you cannot have a land reform in Pakistan. Musharraf's reform, local body reform, has had a devastating effect on land relations, because of the taking away of magisterial powers from the revenue department, there has been massive encroachment on both urban and rural land. That whole system of Shamlat, Kaujar Zameen, Asaish lands, that is almost gone. The floodplains have been taken over by whoever had the power to do it. In most cases, Nazims and their relations. So, this is a very major issue. The floods that occurred in Sindh, both 2010, 2011 and southern Punjab in 2010, are the result of massive encroachments of the last 15 years on the floodplains, which this reform has been doing. So what sort of land reform we need, we can discuss that. I have an opinion, not a very informed opinion because it's not my subject. Meanwhile, as far as GDP is concerned, in 1949-50, agriculture was 53%, manufacturing services were 39%. Today, agriculture is 21%, and services and trade is 60%. But all the changes that I have mentioned, they have brought about major social changes, and migration is an important driving factor behind it. In the 1998 census, 10.8 million or 8% of all Pakistanis said that they were internal migrants. A very big figure. Of these, 64% migrated to the urban areas. 25% to Karachi, Lahore and Rawalpindi alone. 13% to Karachi. And of total migrants, 24% were migrated to foreign countries. Ye mazak nahi hai. It is very, very serious. I mean, this is such a colossal change. What does it mean? I'll tell you what it means in the terms of Karachi, because these are the only figures I have worked on. In a census, the most important age group is between 15 and 24, because it's both the present and it is the future. In 1981, 68% men and 64% women in this age group were literate. In 1998, 76% men and 73% women were literate. If you draw the graph and continue it without even taking the trend into consideration, today 84% of both men and women are illiterate. No difference between male and female literacy. If you take marriage in this age group of 15 to 24, in 1981, 13.14% men were married and 37.5% women in this age group were married. If you continue that trend to 2008, simply taking the graph as it is rather than following the trend increasingly, then 7.2% of men in this age group are married and less than 20% women in this age group are married. Consequently, in this age group, which is both the present and the future, you have an overwhelming majority of unmarried adolescents. And any sociologist will tell you that this is enough to change gender relations and family structures. In my work on this, there are a number of research papers show how this change has taken place and what this change means. Now, the same I feel would be true for Lahore, and I think it would be much better for Sialkot. Sialkot is more evolved than any other city in Pakistan. If I take family structures, in Karachi in the 1989 survey, 64% families said they were nuclear families. In the 2005 survey, 89% said that they were nuclear families. But अच्छी बात है, बुरी बात है, वो बात की बात है. These are the realities that you are dealing with. And 79% of Karachiites in 1998 said they had access to television, and the majority of them use the cable. Let me take some other figures for you before I finish. First, women's educational attainments. They show a marked increase as compared to men. Karachi University, 68% population is women. In medicine, 87% are women. In architecture, 92% are women. As a matter of fact, in architecture, it was so serious that the Vice Chancellor suggested having a quota for men. And I have taught a class in which there was one poor, miserable boy and 16 women. But anyway, and in business administration, 32% of enrollment is women. Now, what happens 10 years? I've given you these figures. Imagine what it means 10 years from now. I think this is important to imagine that. I imagine it all the time. I feel a bit upset because I won't see the end result. It's like going away in the middle of a film. But I can feel where this is going, and I can also feel and understand the forces that are opposing this. But this change is so big that anything that is opposing this has no chance of success. None. Forget it. There is no turning back. These are big realities, and they have taken root. Let me go to court marriages. In Karachi, my friend, colleague, Riyaz Ahmed, he came to me with a news item. It 800 court marriages applications per day in Karachi. I said, no, it's not possible. Because we calculated 800 means that about 40% of all people getting married in the province of Sindh are getting married through court marriages. I said, no, it's not possible. So we decided to make an investigation. And now Riaz is doing his PhD thesis on court marriages. So the information that I give you is from him, from his work. In 1992, there were 9 to 12 court marriage applications per day. In 2005, they varied between 200 to 250 per day. In court marriages, when a couple approaches a court for protection against violence from the family, because they're getting married without the family's approval. Now, this brings me to honor killings. And here, in 1983, during the movement for the restoration of democracy, the army had burnt a number of about 87, I don't know, 80-something boats of fishermen, because they were accused of taking dacoits across the river. And then I was asked to rehabilitate those fishermen. So I had gone and worked in this small village and became very friendly with the headman over there. He was already old at that time, in 83. Then I read a news item in the press that there had been a karokari, an honor killing in that taluka. After some time, I read another news item, another honor killing in that taluka. Then a third honor killing in that taluka, all within a period of about 6 to 7 months. So next time I went to Larkana, I went to that village. And I met my old friend Suleiman, who had become really very old by then. And I said to him, Sai, did you ever have so many karokaris before? And he said, no, there was no need. There used to be one in 10 years, and then we used to talk about it for 10 years, and there used to be another one, and then we talk about it for 10 years. And I said, then why is it happening now? And he said, ye to hogi. This is going to happen. And I said, why is it going to happen? He said, because everyone has become a beghairat, so it's going to happen. And I said to him, is it ever going to finish? Then it's going to continue like this? He said, no, it will stop. I said, when will it stop? He said, when everyone becomes a Beghairat, it will stop. Now, this is a very serious comment. And I said, but why are they becoming Beghairat? He said, these girls, they go to school. They've learned how to read and write. These boys, they go to Karachi. They go to Hyderabad. They go abroad. They come back. And they have no morals. And then he added with great sorrow, I wish I die before I see the day when there is no Beghairat left. I felt a great sympathy for him. I really did. There was a sad expression on his face. He belonged to a dying world. And he expressed it like this. After that, I've carried out 20 interviews of older people in rural settings, asking them about honor killings. And except for 3, 21 including him, except for 3, the story is almost identical. So you have this also that you are going to deal with. I think I've already spoken too much. I will try to wind up. But the change I have described, you will say to me, anyone can say to me, but this is normal, this has happened all over the world, it's happened in India, it's happened in Thailand, it's happened. There's a very big difference. And the difference is the Zia era. This has happened in spite of the Zia era. And what Zia era had to contribute to it, towards stopping it, I won't mention. But if you ask me, I will give you the steps that oppose this change in a very big way. The trends that I see, this change, for it to be consolidated, requires new societal values. And no one is promoting those new societal values. Neither the media nor the intelligentsia. Drama is, but drama is very small. Nobody is promoting it. Films are not promoting it either. The liberals of Pakistan, I don't count myself as one because I believe more in a tolerant society than in any grand secularism. But the liberals of Pakistan look for victims. They identify victims. They make the case of their victims their case. That is their struggle. But that is not what consolidates change. It is role models and it is a value system. So that is very, very important. The low-income settlements in which I have worked since 1973, they have changed. They are not the same settlements that I know. When we used to go there before, older men used to meet us. They were illiterate. They would talk to us in a flowery language, Janab, Sain, Huzur, Aapki Jutiyon ki khaak hai, Niyazmand hai, Sharf haasil hua aapse milke. You go today, you are met by younger men and sometimes by younger women. And they don't talk in this language. They are literate. They call me uncle, and that too in English. This has changed. The settlements were working class settlements. Today they are not purely working class settlements. They are white collar workers. University teachers also live there. Bank managers live there. It's a different world. So this society values. Next is globalization. Globalization has changed Pakistan, whether we like it or not, whether we understand the change or not. 1996, we made a survey of the Dhan Mandi of Karachi, which is the biggest Dhan Mandi of Pakistan, to see if it could be relocated from the old city. We were met by rural by a rural culture over there, very similar to the older culture that I explained to you right now. 2006, for the Karachi Strategic Development Plan, we again made a survey. And what did we see? We saw corporate sector style offices, young men with jeans and t-shirts sitting behind computers, typing away, negotiating with New York, negotiating with Manila, negotiating with Bombay on deals. Their parents sitting around there having tea, doing nothing. And this is the future. It's not going away. And this whole business sector, small business sector, is the same in the mandis mandis in Multan, in Lodra, in Gujranwala. It's not different. And this entrepreneurial group, before it used to operate through petitions to government officials. Then it operated through bribes. Now it operates through agitation. It threatens, said we close down, and the government agrees to what they want. The change is the new power that this group has. How it will evolve politically, I don't know. I can't say. But the most important thing is that Pakistan's changing socio-economic realities requires skills. The polytechniques that were set up in a youth's time are gone. They are in ruins. Nobody looks after them. There are no budgets. There are no teachers. The thousands of vocational schools that were set up in Bhutto's time don't function. All these fancy universities that are being created are like castles built on sand without this infrastructure of technical education and skills. This somehow is not a priority of the state or with society as a whole. And this is where the greatest weakness of the Pakistan state lies in relation to the socio-economic change that is taking place. So I will stop here, although there is a lot more to say on the subject. But we can have a
That's a fascinating presentation, and I think we hear a great deal about the processes of political change, economic change at a very micro level, but these social underpinnings are hugely important. And of course, if one were to take your analysis forward, there is also the role of television and the cable television that's making its way even to villages. There's the role of mobile phones, and now in rural areas, motorcycles that were afforded by Pervez Musharraf's credit schemes, interestingly enough. I have a couple of questions, and I think, or perhaps I should say, these are themes around which we could organize our discussion. We could invite participation from everyone.